Welcome back to the channel, Streak Philippines 2.0, and I am your host, Mark. I went for a walk today and I saw so many people had these signs up about our water service here. So I thought I should just tell you a little bit about it. You know, Philippines is really a great place as far as retirement and stretching your funds much farther. But before you pack your bags, let's talk about something that you might have never even thought about: the water situation. Now, you may have known that you can't usually just drink your water right out of the faucet, but that's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is just not having any water for 12 hours a day. That's where we're at now, and that looks like it's going to be the regular schedule. 6 hours on, 6 hours off. That's the way it works. Now, if you have big bucks, maybe you can buy a storage tank and a pressure tank, but many people can't. They don't have that kind of available funds, whether it's retirees or Filipinos. And there's some small, very small row houses, and they don't even have a lot that would you'd be able to put those things on, even if you could afford it. So just imagine, you get up in the morning, you want to make your coffee, you don't have water. So you better store water. That's what you have to do. You got to store water. You can store it in buckets. You can store it in drums. You have to store water any possible way you can for those 6 hours to get through to the next 6 hours when you got water. It was actually even worse before that, because before that, we had no idea when we'd have water and when we wouldn't. You just turn on the tap, no water. Turn on the tap, there'll be a little dribble. You just never knew. You just never knew. And this is not unusual in the Philippines. This water company that actually services our community is a huge company. And there's been so many complaints about this company that, from what I read in online, the company is actually thinking about getting out of the business. Now, I don't know who would take over for this. And I don't know how an existing development is supposed to deal with that kind of a situation where they got no water and possibly the water company just pulls out. Because collecting dues in the Philippines is just like pulling teeth. You know, people don't have a lot of money. They don't want to pay. So that obviously is an issue. But if you're selling houses in a development, wouldn't you think you need to have water? In the Philippines? No, not really. So it's really hard for a lot of people. They have to plan everything around their water schedule. They can't wash their clothes, can't take a shower. Sometimes they just run out of the stored water that they have. Of course, that stored water, they're just using a dipper, in the shower to take a bath. It's not coming through the tap and not through the shower. So it's really a tricky situation, and I'll just bet you that many people outside the Philippines have no idea about this, And it really takes a huge effort to just deal with the water situation. Now, you see that warehouse right there? That's another giant issue. There's warehouses all around this community that didn't used to exist. Now they have to use water too. Where's the water coming from? Probably the ground. Just the same as this place is getting its water out of a deep well. Oh, so many issues with lack of water. And with this development, it's only going to get worse. This area has been built up. It's just unbelievable. It used to be fish ponds. It used to be beautiful all around. Now it's warehouses. Look down the street. What do you see? A new warehouse right there. A new wall and a new warehouse. And everywhere everywhere, every space is being concreted. Now, the other issue you got here, if you think you can deal with 12 hours of water, 6 hours on and 6 hours off, and if you want to live out of a 55-gallon drum in your retirement years, I can imagine actually wanting to do that. But then there is another water issue in the Philippines, and that is the flooding. And it's kind of the same situation. There's a lot of, it's global warming, it's land subsidence from sucking so much water out of the ground that the land is actually sinking. I didn't really realize that until recently, that that's a thing. Taking too much water out of the ground for a huge population and for huge industrial development makes the ground actually sink. Just incredible. But I don't know. I don't know how you could sell something like this in a place without water. Really don't know. So think about that if you're considering retiring here. I gotta go because it's starting to rain. Thanks for watching.